Youth ends when egotism does, maturity begins when one lives for others. What should I possibly have to tell you, O Venerable One? Perhaps that you're searching far too much. That in all that searching, you don't find the time for finding. Good that you ask, you should always ask, always have doubts. This day will never come again, and anyone who fails to eat and drink and taste and smell it will never have it offered to him again in all eternity. The sun will never shine as it does today, but you must play your part and sing a song, one of your best. You've never lived what you are thinking, and that isn't good. Only the ideas we actually live are of any value. Look, we hate nothing that exists, not even death, suffering and dying, does not horrify our souls, as long as we learn more deeply to love. Painting is marvelous, it makes you happier and more patient. Afterwards you do not have black fingers as with writing, but blue and red ones. Your soul is the whole world. That's the way it is when you love. It makes you suffer, and I have suffered much in the years since. But it matters little that you suffer, so long as you feel alive with a sense of the close bond that connects all living things, so long as love does not die. Everyone can perform magic, everyone can reach his goals if he is able to think, if he is able to wait, if he is able to fast. Oh, love isn't there to make us happy. I believe it exists to show us how much we can endure. You are only afraid if you are not in harmony with yourself. The sacred sense of beyond, of timelessness, of a world which had an eternal value and the substance of which was divine had been given back to me today by this friend of mine who taught me dancing. I felt knowledge and the unity of the world circulate in me like my own blood. I have known it for a long time, but I have only just experienced it. Now I know it not only with my intellect, but with my eyes, with my heart, with my stomach. How beautiful the world was when one looked at it, without searching, just looked, simply and innocently. Only within yourself exists the other reality for which you long. I can give you nothing that has not already its being within yourself. I can throw open to you no picture gallery but your own soul. Each man's life represents a road toward himself. The deity is within you, not in ideas and books. Truth is lived, not taught. The world is not imperfect or slowly evolving along a path to perfection. No, it is perfect at every moment, every sin already carries grace in it. It may be important to great thinkers to examine the world, to explain and despise it. But I think it is only important to love the world, not to despise it, not for us to hate each other, but to be able to regard the world and ourselves and all beings with love, admiration and respect. Passion is always a mystery and unaccountable, and unfortunately there is no doubt that life does not spare its purest children. Often it is just the most deserving people who cannot help loving those that destroy them. You must find your dream, but no dream lasts forever, each dream is followed by another, and one should not cling to any particular dream. Seriousness is an accident of time. It consists of putting too high a value on time. In eternity there is no time. Eternity is a moment, just long enough for a joke. You treat world history as a mathematician does mathematics, in which nothing but laws and formulas exist, no reality, no good and evil, no time, no yesterday, no tomorrow, nothing but an eternal, shallow, mathematical present. And all the voices, all the goals, all the yearnings, all the sorrows, all the pleasures, all the good and evil, all of them together was the world. All of them together was the stream of events, the music of life. Loneliness is the way by which destiny endeavors to lead man to himself. Those who cannot think or take responsibility for themselves need, and clamor for, a leader. Whither will my path yet lead me? This path is stupid, it goes in spirals, perhaps in circles, but whichever way it goes, I will follow it. I am much inclined to live from my rucksack, and let my trousers fray as they like. I realize today that nothing in the world is more distasteful to a man than to take the path that leads to himself. There is, so I believe, in the essence of everything, something that we cannot call learning. There is, my friend, only a knowledge, that is everywhere. I was given the freedom to discover my own inclination and talents, to fashion my inmost pleasures and sorrows myself, and to regard the future not as an alien higher power but as the hope and product of my own strength. To study history means submitting to chaos and nevertheless retaining faith in order and meaning. Perhaps people like us cannot love. Ordinary people can, that is their secret. You have to try the impossible to achieve the possible. That is where my dearest and brightest dreams have ranged to here for the duration of a heartbeat, the universe and the totality of life in its mysterious, innate harmony. What could I say to you that would be of value, except that perhaps you seek too much, that is a result of your seeking you cannot find. When dealing with the insane, the best method is to pretend to be sane. It is not for me to judge another man's life. I must judge, I must choose, I must spurn, purely for myself. For myself, alone. Knowledge can be communicated, but not wisdom. One can find it, live it, be fortified by it, do wonders through it, but one cannot communicate and teach it. The river has taught me to listen, you will learn from it, too. The river knows everything, one can learn everything from it. You have already learned from the river that it is good to strive downwards, to sink, to seek the depths. I began to understand that suffering and disappointments and melancholy are there not to vex us or cheapen us or deprive us of our dignity but to mature and transfigure us. Whoever wants music instead of noise, joy instead of pleasure, soul instead of gold, creative work instead of business, passion instead of foolery, finds no home in this trivial world of ours. They both listened silently to the water, which to them was not just water, but the voice of life, the voice of being, the voice of perpetual becoming. A magic dwells in each beginning, protecting us, telling us how to live. Without words, without writing and without books there would be no history, there could be no concept of humanity. It is not our purpose to become each other, it is to recognize each other, to learn to see the other and honor him for what he is. My goal is this, always to put myself in the place in which I am best able to serve, wherever my gifts and qualities find the best soil to grow, the widest field of action. There is no other goal. Words cannot express the joy of new life. Happiness is a how, not a what. A talent, not an object. Our mind is capable of passing beyond the dividing line we have drawn for it. Beyond the pairs of opposites of which the world consists, other, new insights begin. So she thoroughly taught him that one cannot take pleasure without giving pleasure and that every gesture, every caress, every touch, every glance, every last bit of the body has its secret, which brings happiness to the person who knows how to wake it. She taught him that after a celebration of love the lovers should not part without admiring each other, without being conquered or having conquered, so that neither is bleak or glutted or has the bad feeling of being used or misused. One never reaches home, but wherever friendly paths intersect the whole world looks like home for a time. We are not going in circles, we are going upwards. The path is a spiral, we have already climbed many steps. No permanence is ours, we are a wave that flows to fit whatever form it finds. Within you there is a stillness and sanctuary to which you can retreat at any time and be yourself. Everything becomes a little different as soon as it is spoken out loud. For what I always hated and detested and cursed above all things was this contentment, this healthiness and comfort, this carefully preserved optimism of the middle classes, this fat and prosperous brood of mediocrity. So you can't dance. Not at all. Not even one step. How can you say that you've taken any trouble to live when you won't even dance? A father can pass on his nose and eyes and even his intelligence to his child, but not his soul. In every human being the soul is new. I, also, would like to look and smile, sit and walk like that, so free, so worthy, so restrained, so candid, so childlike and mysterious. A man only looks and walks like that when he has conquered his self. I also will conquer myself. His way had therefore come full circle, or rather had taken the form of an ellipse or a spiral, following as ever no straight unbroken line, for the rectilinear belongs only to geometry and not to nature and life. An enlightened man had but one duty, to seek the way to himself, to reach inner certainty, to grope his way forward, no matter where it led. He had loved and he had found himself. Most people love to lose themselves. For the first time in my life I tasted death, and death tasted bitter, for death is birth, is fear and dread of some terrible renewal. I suddenly saw how sad and artificial my life had been during this period, for the loves, friends, habits and pleasures of these years were discarded like badly fitting clothes. I parted from them without pain and all that remained was to wonder that I could have endured them so long. Faith is stronger than so-called reason. One cannot apologize for something fundamental, and a child feels and knows this as well and as deeply as any sage. Opinions mean nothing, they may be beautiful or ugly, clever or foolish, anyone can embrace or reject them. Things are going downhill with you. he said to himself, and laughed about it, and as he was saying it, he happened to glance at the river, and he also saw the river going downhill, always moving on downhill, and singing and being happy through it all. The world was beautiful when looked at in this way without any seeking, so simple, so childlike. The true profession of a man is to find his way to himself. I believe that the struggle against death, the unconditional and self-willed determination to live, is the motive power behind the lives and activities of all outstanding men. Because the world is so full of death and horror, I try again and again to console my heart and pick the flowers that grow in the midst of hell. All interpretation, all psychology, all attempts to make things comprehensible, require the medium of theories, mythologies, and lies. Nothing is harder, yet nothing is more necessary, than to speak of certain things whose existence is neither demonstrable nor probable. The very fact that serious and conscientious men treat them as existing things brings them a step closer to existence and to the possibility of being born. I have always believed, and I still believe, that whatever good or bad fortune may come our way we can always give it meaning and transform it into something of value. Some of us think holding on makes us strong, but sometimes it is letting go. Learn what is to be taken seriously and laugh at the rest. If you hate a person, you hate something in him that is part of yourself. What isn't part of ourselves doesn't disturb us.